No nigga, baby, let's face it. I've been really feel like this in a minute. Yeah, that demons in my soul got my image. You ain't gotta trust me, baby, just
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Stay Woke Podcast. I'm sorry, y'all, I haven't been here for a minute. Just getting caught up on a lot of things. You know, we got the merch going out. But Ep.7 today. Super excited for our guests. Today we got our guy, Nick Graham. Nick, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm happy. I'm ain't no place in the world I'd rather be than here with you, man. Just seeing young kings like yourself step into this space where you just developing all these skills to take over the world, man. I'm here for it. Front row seat. So I'm blessed.
That means the world to me. Just thank you for taking the time out of your day to be on here. Means the world to me. I know you're super busy and you have a life too. So just thank you for coming on here today.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Anytime.
So before we kind of get into this interview, what's going on with you right now? Are you training right now? Are you coaching? What's the vibe with you?
Man, my vibe is it's almost like, so the thing about is about training is like if you're doing it right, you got to understand the ebbs and flows of it. So like when you talk about training, you got to like almost put yourself through like a preseason, like a training camp. And a lot of that is physical too. Man, I just turned 40, believe it or not. And like I thank God every day because I feel good. Like I look athletic. So my goal, is for because a lot of times I wear, athletic paraphernalia, if not all the time, and like stuff that people gives me. Like today, I got on some Dallas Maverick stuff from when I went to watch a practice with Chauncey. They blessed me with some gear. So like my goal is for people to be like, hey, what team do you play on? So for me, yeah, I'm like, okay, I still look athletic. But so like, yeah, that just like working on my body in terms of like, I want to look the part, like when I step on the court, like I want to like have a presence about myself and an aesthetic about myself where they like, man, this dude look like he could give me 30 right now. So just taking care of my body. And then also like taking care of it from the standpoint of just making sure that I can withstand, training, long hours of training. And then also the mental part of it, as you know, like with me, like my training is holistic. It's not just developing you as a basketball player. I believe you can develop somebody as a person, then developing them as a basketball player is easy. So developing their leadership, developing their character. So I'm making sure I'm doing a lot of reading, a lot of meditating, studying leaders so I can impart that knowledge. And then the last part is just watching a lot of basketball, just really watching a lot of basketball to see the trends and see, what's working and what people are doing at a high level. So that's what I've been on, kind of like kind of like training camp mode right now. So
Definitely. That's dope, man. I've always wondered like that aspects, so just like hearing that is just like you're teaching players, but you're also looking to get taught yourself, so it's just like cool to see you're still learning while you're teaching other people.
yeah, no doubt. Like you have to. I talk to a lot of the trainers that I talk to and the and people that influence me. It's you got to have mentors. You got to, and I think this is important for trainers. Is the game of basketball like life? Like you can almost look at the game of basketball like your iPhone. Like the iPhone evolves into a new version. A new one. You have updates, software
Exactly.
updates, and stuff like that. But then you actually have a whole new iPhone at least almost every year. And so like you almost have to look at it like that as a trainer. Some people aren't successful as a trainer is because they don't necessarily have those basketball updates like you have a software update. It's
Exactly.
not that you don't have the skill, but things change, terminology changes. And once you understand it, like it's all the same, it makes sense. But like it's almost like Candace Parker and Shaq. Shaq was debating why don't they guard pick and roll coverages like this? Because this
Oh
is how they
yeah,
do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, the game has evolved. Like people can pass from like people's ability to pass off the bounce is more
Exactly.
evolved. So the
Mm-hmm.
rotations are faster. They can shoot. And so just, yeah, it's important to do that. And I see a lot of a lot of trainers that they don't take the time to do that. So you got to find you a plug that's coaching at the professional level, the college level. If you're in a major city like in Denver or I'm in Dallas, like go to practices, go to high school practices, go to college practices, go to G League practices, so you can see and stay up to date.
Definitely. That's dope. A lot of knowledge, Nick. I'm so glad you're here, man. So
Now I'm glad to be here too.
let's just get into this interview, man. So for the viewers that don't know, you want to talk a little bit about where you're from and where you grew up?
Yeah, no doubt. Like, yeah, I was actually born in Dallas. And then my dad's a coach. I'm a coach's kid. So when I was 9, my dad got, or when I was 10, we moved away from Dallas to New Mexico. Was there 2 years, and then I feel like I really grew up. And really, where I really learned the game of basketball is where I went to high school, Stillwater, Oklahoma. My dad was at Oklahoma State. He coached with a Hall of Fame coach who just passed, Eddie Sutton, and one of his assistant coaches is Bill Self. And so like, and then the other assistant coach was Tim Jankovic, who's a head coach at SMU. And there were tons of pros. There, matter of fact, one of which I spoke at his funerals from Colorado, Brooks Thompson. He's from Littleton. My dad coached him, and these are people that taught me the game. They taught me, it's crazy. I thought they were just teaching me the game, but they were teaching me the game of life.
Right.
Like that's where I developed my toughness, because like when I was in Oklahoma, like the players were in college. I'm 11, they're 18, 19, 20. And it's like, imagine having like 15 big brothers, right? That like made me tough. Like they made me so tough, and it wasn't always fun. Like I played 1-on-1, they knocked me down, they elbowed me. I even got my nose broke one time, but they also empowered me. And the biggest thing that they showed me how to work at this game. You know what I'm saying? They showed me how hard it is to be great at this game. And so like that's where like I developed my appreciation and how hard you have to work. And then after that, I went to Washington State for college. And then my dad was my coach. He got fired my last year, and he became assistant at Colorado for Ricardo Patton. That's how I ended up at Colorado. I had never planned on being in Denver, and it just kind of happened. And as you know, that's where I started my training and got it popping for about 12 years.
That's crazy. So what was like your recruitment in high school? What were like your top 3 schools, or did you just have Washington State? What was that like?
Yeah, so like I was okay in college. I was like a low D1. Like, I went to Washington State because my dad was there. I ended up like once I stepped foot on there, like I could play at that level. But like I was getting recruited by like, Missouri, Kansas City, Oral Roberts, Texas San Antonio, schools like that. And I was really small. Like I was abnormally, like I was little. I probably weighed like, I think I weighed like 140. And so
What?
like I weighed 140. I went from being like 144, 145, and I went from that. I played my last high school game at 145. So my dad, like it was always my dream to play for him. And so like I went and played for him. Like they needed players. Like they didn't have enough players because they finished last. So that's how I got a scholarship there. And they thought I was going to be a project. Like I was going to have to redshirt because I was too small. I had the skill, but I was just always too small. And this is a cool thing. Like my pastor, he always says, don't let people label you, because when people label you, they limit you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I love the activism of like fighting for equal rights, not just for Black people, but for females or, indigenous cultures and whatever, because it's needed. But as it relates to us as minorities, a lot of times the people, other people try to label us dumb,
Exactly.
or they label us whatever it is. And unfortunately, sometimes we accept that label, and it's not that we're dumb. It's because we accept that label and believe it. So we move around like we're dumb, as opposed to saying that's not who I am. And so for me, like he's too little to play here. He's going to have to redshirt. I didn't believe that. Like I never accepted that. And so like my dad had took the job and he was in Washington. So I didn't see him from the time he took the job in May until August. I literally didn't see him one time. And I was like, I made up my mind. I was like, when he sees me, I'm going to be a different person. So I started working out with the Oklahoma State football team, started lifting with them. Bro, I put on 30 pounds. So like he was telling all the players like I was little and like, you know, like I was going to red shirt. So I remember the guards thought they were going to have their way with me. And I stepped foot on campus at 176. They were like, man, who
Wow.
is this? And so like, yeah, so like I was able to play and able to like kind of like find my way at that space. But yeah, it was smaller D1s, D2. So
Definitely. So what was your time like at Washington State? Do you have like a favorite memory, favorite game?
yeah, so it was rough. It actually wasn't a good experience. I actually like it was rough. Like I think I was depressed. Like matter of fact, I know I was like depressed and didn't know it. Just that how traumatic of an experience it was for me. But I remember my favorite game was is two that come to mind. My freshman year, um, right before break, like it was like our last game before Christmas break. We were playing Southern, and we won by like 4 or 5 points. And like I just played, like I just hooped. Like I'm an overthinker, and like I'm a people pleaser, and I think that hurt me as an athlete. And that was like the first game in college where I just like hooped. I wasn't thinking about like, man, like my dad getting fired or that type of pressure. I just hooped, and we won. And you know, I just played. I just played to the best of my ability. I didn't think. I played free. And for me, that's the place that I try to get all the people that I train. Like I had confidence in everything that I was doing. There was no thought like, man, if I miss this shot, I'm gonna get taken out. If I miss this shot, coach is gonna be mad at me. And so like that stood out, and it was dope because it was the last game, like I said before Christmas break let out. It was
Right.
on a Saturday. Like if you want to have your best game, that's when you want to have it. Saturday day game, last weekend before everybody goes home for Christmas, because there's parties everywhere. And it was my birthday. So
Oh, it is lit.
yeah, it was lit. So I went to the to all the parties, just getting all the love. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
dope.
So like that one, and then towards the end of my career, we were playing Stanford. My best year was my freshman year because that's when I played the freest. Every year, like I put more pressure on myself, and I was more aware of what people were saying. I was more aware of the noise. And my dad, I mentioned he got fired, so every year there was more questions surrounding his job security. Being that I was his son, like I felt like, you know, an extra sense of pressure that was like, I look back at it as a grown man, that was too much pressure. You know, I put that pressure on me. Like, man, if I miss this free throw, that's affecting my dad's job. If I'm turning this ball
Exactly.
over, it's affecting my dad's job. And my dad didn't do a good job of being my dad and my coach. And like I have to understand there ain't like a manual for that. And like he did it the way I didn't want it. Like
Mhm.
off the court, like it was different. His energy towards me was different off the court. He treated me like his son off the court. So like if we were traveling, like he wanted to sit by me, he wanted to interact with me more so than my teammates.
Right.
How would that make you feel? Like you wouldn't
Exactly.
like that if you was a player. You might think I'm snitching, and
Mhm.
you just gonna like you're not gonna like that because when your
Exactly.
coach is supposed to be like your father figure, and my
Hmm.
dad didn't really have that type of connection with everybody else. So like I think the players on my team resented that. But then on the court, my dad like didn't he treated me he treated me like trash. It was like he went out of his way to show he wasn't giving me any preferential treatment, and
Right.
and he treated me different. Like he would yell at me differently than he did anybody else. You know, like I remember one time, like if you make a mistake, he's not gonna make it personal. Like if I made a mistake, he'd make it personal. Like in front of the whole team, like he would be like, man, like if you keep turning the fucking excuse me.
No,
Excuse
you
my
could cuss.
language.
You're good. You're good. You could
Yeah,
cuss
but
on here. You're
hey,
good.
I'm a Christian. I wrote God in basketball. I do cuss a little bit, but I don't like cuss in public situations. I try not to. But I was quoting. That was a
Yeah,
quote. That
you're
wasn't
good.
me.
You're
So he
you're
said
good.
he'll say something like that. If you turn in the effing ball over, I'm gonna send your ass to junior college.
Oh
You know, like
shit.
yeah, he didn't
Damn,
talk to
that's a little too deep.
right, but he didn't talk to nobody else like that. And
It's
I was just
crazy.
trying to fit in. I was just trying to get my respect as a player.
Right.
So like, bro, it was toxic. So it got to the point where I was like so messed up. I wasn't playing, and I knew I should have been playing. Like I remember one time, like my pops told me we were getting ready to play Stanford. They're the number one team in the country. He was getting ready to. He told me like one of the other players got into it with him, and they went back and forth. He's like, "Man, you don't even play your son like you should. I know you ain't gonna treat me right." I guess that hit different, and my dad was like, "Man, I need to start playing you." So we playing Stanford, number one team in the country. He told me, "Man, you're gonna be the first guard off the bench. You've earned the right. Get ready. Like I'm trying to play you 20 minutes a game. It's like Tuesday. Number one team on the road. Let's go. I'm focused, getting up shots, extra rest, eating right, all that. Watching film. He kept telling me, stay ready, stay ready. The game comes, the guard gets two quick fouls. I'm like off the bench, warm up top coming off. He looked straight at me, looked past me, put somebody else in the game. He didn't put me in the game until 50 seconds of a blowout, bro. 50
Wow.
seconds of a blowout with no explanation, no nothing. And I remember being so mad. And that was when I became a man. That moment is when I became a man and understood how the world works. To understand that the world doesn't give a damn about you. Like this, is my own dad. Like you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
That's
Like,
crazy.
like, but it's the best thing that happened to me because it forced me to like. Once I realized that, I looked myself in the mirror, and like it was just like I don't like this. It doesn't feel good. I would cry myself to sleep. I was angry. I was mad, but I didn't quit. And I was like, what can I control? What can I control? Have a big boy conversation with myself. I was like, I may not get in that. I may not get in another game. I said, but I'm gonna go to practice every day, and I'm going. I want all the smoke. I said, well, nobody will work harder than me, right? Nobody's gonna run sprints. I'm gonna finish first in every sprint. Like you tell me to get water, I ain't even getting water. I'm staying here shooting free throws. It was just a mentality. Like I was like ready to go. This went on for like 3-4 weeks. I'm steady not getting in the game, steady not getting in the game. I used to get to the gym so early that I would have to shoot my street clothes. I had to shoot my street clothes because they didn't even have the jerseys. Told the manager, hey, rebound for me. Manager's like, you don't play, man. I ain't rebounding for you. That's where it was. But I just stayed locked in. As fate would have it, we played Stanford again. Starting point guard turns his ankle. He just about to like tape his ankle and get back in the game. I look at my pops. I'm like, body language is everything. That's just not something your coaches tell you that's real. Like he didn't want to put me in the game, but I looked at him like, dog, you put me in this game. If I got to walk and check myself in, I'm going in this game. And without thinking, he's like, get in the game. They couldn't take me out the game. Like I came in like we were down like 9 points. Before the first time out, we were up 6. I was just like I took all this frustration, all this anger, and I channeled it for like 3 weeks. I channeled it, and once I got on that court, I just unleashed like my little. I'm like 5'10" and a half playing in the Pac-12, going to get rebounds, get 6, 7 people running the floor, shooting from the parking lot. And I just remember at the end of that game, like my dad looked at me and he like shook my hand and said like was blown away, the assistant coaches, the players. And like that's the type of respect that you can't write a check for. That's the type of respect that like you have to go earn, you have to go get. Nobody gave
Exactly.
me that. So for me, like that process in that game literally changed my life and how I look at life. So that answers the questions about the game and the college experience. I hated it. I mean, it was tough, but I wouldn't change it for anything because it's what made me a man. It's what allowed me to realize if you never, I tell somebody like tough times make you tough.
Exactly.
Like you can't be, nobody came into this world being tough. We came into this world when we scream, somebody wipe our face and wipe our butt and feed us, like literally getting breastfed. Like
Exactly.
that's tough. So how do you transform from that to being tough? You have to go through tough times. You can't go around them. You can't go under them. You can't go over them. You got to go through tough times. And when you do, like, you're gonna find out things about yourself that you would have and develop things within yourself that you otherwise wouldn't. And so, like, I'm just forever grateful. Like, uh, a lot of successful people say the toughest, most painful times of their life were the most productive times in their life and the very reason that they experienced success. So
That's dope, man. That's really it's really dope to hear because I know a lot of people just wanted to know about like how you managed to like go to college and then now you're training. So just to hear like just the background behind it and you actually saying like you didn't really enjoy your college experience is just like I'm just blown away because I didn't really expect that from you just because how much you love the game is just like dang for real.
I told you we was gonna be real, man. I told you that.
Definitely. So well, how did you get into training? Did you already have that in your mind when you were in college? Know you graduated with your bachelor's in arts and sociology. So what was your plans with that? It's your degree. What was that like?
Man, first of all, I'm glad you said that. One of my perhaps my biggest regret in life is majoring in sociology. And there's nothing wrong with majoring in sociology, but it's the reason why I majored in sociology. I majored in sociology because it was easy. I majored in sociology because I knew I was smart enough to take an easy major, and I was smart enough to do just enough work to stay eligible and get a degree. Like, obviously, like, I'm a man of faith despite dropping the F-bomb earlier. Again, that was a quote. But in the Bible it says, when I was a boy, I thought like one, but as I became a man, I put my childish ways behind me. And
Exactly.
like, that was me thinking like a boy. I literally had this conversation with a college kid I mentor. Literally the same thing. I just took it because it was easy, bro. Like one of the things that I try to do through my mentorship is, help people make that decision. Like, your basketball ability, what a blessing it is that you have enough God-given ability and you've worked hard enough to get yourself an education. And you
Right.
just gonna not get educated. You got a education that wasn't free because you put in a lot of time, and then you're not gonna educate yourself. That's what I did. I didn't learn anything in college, but it was easy. You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying? I had a kid tell me, like, he was doing the same thing, and he was just like, I want to take an easy major because, like, I'm focused on basketball. Like, I was like, oh, you focus on basketball? Yeah, I'm focused on basketball. I'm going to the league. Oh, okay. So you can only focus on basketball. Yeah, that's right. I said, I guess you're not going to get married. I guess you're not going to have kids. Yeah, I am. But you can't because you can only focus on basketball. I said, I guess if you had an opportunity to be like LeBron James and Space Jam wanted to make a movie with you while you were playing, you wouldn't do it because you focus on basketball. I said,
Definitely.
LeBron James is the best player in the world. He continues to educate himself. He continues to be a social activist. He just made a movie. He just launched a school in the inner city to give back. So, like, he's an amazing dad, an amazing family man. That's six things I just named, and he's the best player in the world. But you mean to tell me that you can't focus on educating yourself and being a player? Unfortunately, and it happens more so with our African American kids. Nobody talks to us like that. I told him, I said, you probably spent more time figuring out what outfit you're going to wear to flick up for the gram than you did picking your major. Like,
Exactly.
what's wrong with that? So, like, I was a victim of that. And I'm blessed that I was able to right my wrongs because I went to graduate school at Iowa State. And when I was like a graduate assistant, when I coached at Iowa State, I'm sure we'll talk about that. But when I was at Iowa State, I was basically a full-time coach, mentored kids, and was in charge of our player development. And that's when I wrote the book. And for the first time in my college career, I made above a 3.0 GPA. I made a 3.5. You couldn't
That's
tell me
dope.
nothing. I educated myself. And
Right.
so, like, that's actually something that I'm really working on. And like, it inspired me. I'm creating currently right now kind of like a more than an athlete campaign because that's what I was, and that young man that I'm telling you about. I said, you see LeBron being an example for us of more than an athlete, but you're settling on being just an athlete. Like that's what you're doing when we don't educate ourselves. Think about this. If you're blessed to go to college, right? That means that you are getting taught um, you're getting taught that subject by a world-class teacher, somebody that is a passionate expert at that.
Exactly.
Like if in any other environment, that's called consulting. And that's an expensive deal. But instead of taking advantage of that, and I'm here, I might as well learn. I never know when it's gonna happen. I'm gonna just drift through, barely get by, and then I got a degree, but I didn't educate myself. So that's kind of my spill on that. But yeah, that's I did graduate with a sociology degree. Unfortunately, I wish I could go back and change it, but it is what it is.
That's crazy. So how did you start A and just like really just put your mind to just like training? Because I just feel like when you're going to start training from the ground up, like it's hard. Like you're really not making money, you're really not known. So how did you come apart with all that?
Um, can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just had to. No, I think it was. Well, and that's good because I forgot what question I went on that tangent. Like how I got into player development, and then I'll segue into that. I got into player development, I think, out of anger. Like I was so angry at what I didn't get. I felt like I deserved to have a trainer. I felt like I deserved to have somebody believe. Like, bro, I was nice.
Right.
Like I didn't realize I was nice at basketball until I started training pros. I was 28 years old, and I'm training at. I remember there was a guy that he was an all Big Ten point guard at Iowa, making good money overseas. I was training him, and like I showed him, like he kept. I was working on change of speed stuff, and he was struggling. And I just pick up the ball casually, shoes untied, and I was like, "No, I need you to do it like this." Why, bam. And he was like, "Wait a minute, dog. Like you expect me to do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do it. You can do it." That's when I first started realizing how nice I was. Nobody had ever told me like I was good. Nobody had ever
Exactly.
like sat down and looked at my game and said, yo, this is what makes you special. What made me special was like my change of speed, my athleticism. I could shoot really quick, and I could shoot and I could handle. Like I had everything I need to do to perform at a high level, but I began to lose confidence because it's though like nobody noticed it and nobody like gave me something to just uh kind of cultivate that. So like I was like I don't ever like I almost felt like I wasted I didn't even waste my talent. The people around me didn't recognize it. And I was like, I don't want anybody to feel like that. You know what I'm saying? And I was look at people like Eric Garcia comes to mind. Like when I first saw Eric, like I knew everything he's doing, I knew that he could do. But I knew he needed somebody, one, to stay on it, stay on him, and somebody to just believe in him and have an attention to detail. And he was going to develop these amazing skills that he developed. So that's how I got into it. To answer the second the second question, um, like you said something earlier, what I went through with basketball. Like I really love basketball. It's like in a marriage, you can tell somebody's committed to the marriage when you take your vows. It says for better or worse.
Exactly.
You know, sickness and in health. You know, that's the kind of relationship I have with basketball. It's easy to love basketball. You know what I'm saying? When you know you're a trainer and you making good money, it's easy to love basketball when you're playing 40 minutes. But I can honestly say that I loved basketball when I was on the end of the bench and maybe getting done unjustly. I loved basketball and training when I started my training business and like was damn near homeless. But I believe that like this is my path to give back to not only basketball, but give back to young people. And so like, you know, that's yeah, I've been through all that, but I just loved it. And I just saw a vision. Like it was almost like all the stuff I did when I started A&A, which is if you're not in Denver, that was the name of my training, Attitude and Altitude. When I started A&A, when it was just something I wrote in my journal, like all the things that happened, like I visualized it. When it started happening, it was almost deja vu. I just believe that I could do it, and I felt like I could do it in a way that it hadn't been done before. And I
Exactly.
saw the other thing is I saw at that time like training wasn't big. Like trainers didn't look like me and didn't move like me. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when I started in Denver, no disrespect, but all the trainers were like old white dudes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They were like old white dudes that didn't relate and stuff like that. And I saw like how much money they was getting. And I was like, man, if they getting that much money, like I like that's my proof. That's proof of concept right there. Like
Exactly.
I've been around, I've played, I've done this, and I care about the kids, so it was a no brainer. I was just like, I just got to keep pushing through.
Definitely. So how did you come up with that ANA attitude and altitude? How did you come up with that?
So like I wanted the name to mean something. I hate when people come up with names and it's just something basic. I feel like your name should like mean something. It should be like a deeper meaning, like Nick Graham training. Like that's why. You know what I mean? Like or just elite hoops training. Like that's why. You know what I'm saying? So A&A stands for attitude and altitude. One of the most impactful people in my life was my aunt Carolyn. And she's no longer with us, but she used to always tell us, and her son played in the NBA. One played in Oklahoma State. My best friend. She's not a blood relative, but she's like a second mom, so I call her Aunt Carolyn. She used to always tell us, like when she would encourage us through athletics, it would always come around to your attitude determines your altitude. And there were times when I didn't want to hear it, and I was like, whatever. And so I believe it's true. Like I felt like it is part of the foundation that helped me be the man that I am. I just wanted to honor her. And it made sense because we were in Denver at altitude. But yeah, A&A, attitude and altitude. And I felt like every person, like my aunt died in 2009. And I feel like every person that like I've been able to influence through A&A, like to me, that's making sure her legacy lives on. So like seeing you do this podcast, that's my aunt's spirit living through you. I turn on TV, I see Chuck Smith like on the Oprah network acting. You know what I'm saying? I see Eric doing his thing, or was able to see Josh Perkins go play in a Final Four in front of 70,000 people. Like to me, that's just like every time that's just my moment to reflect back and honor how amazing of a woman she was.
Definitely. That's dope, man. That's super dope to hear. So like what is your whole goal of training? Like what is it for you that keeps you to just keep going besides just the love of basketball?
Yeah, like I think it's two things. I think that uh, I don't think that God wastes experiences. I don't think that He wastes. There's a reason that God had me be born the son of a basketball coach to learn the game from literally Hall of Fame coaches. Like, how many people can say that? Because Chauncey's going to get into the Hall of Fame at some point. How many people can say they have three Hall of Famers that have developed them in basketball and influenced them in basketball? I can. There has to
Exactly.
be like I've got to be able to do something bigger than just me. So like just understanding that and just I want everybody to get what they deserve and what they're capable of out of basketball. That's the first thing. The most important thing is like to me, like I feel like basketball is my carrot. God has given me the game of basketball, the influence within basketball, and the talent of training. And it's almost like a carrot. You hear about dangling a carrot. Dangling the carrot is like they used to dangle. The story says they dangled a donkey, wouldn't do his job. He was just standing there. So they put it, they tied a rope, they tied something around him and just had a carrot. So like if he took a step, the carrot would always be in front of him. And that's what got him to move because he was trying to get the carrot. Well, I feel like my job and what God has called me to do is take basketball and with the people that I have influence over, that basketball is the carrot. They don't want to move. Whether it's a comfort zone, whether it's stubbornness, whatever it is, they don't want to move off of that. And so, like, what I do is take basketball and dangle it from them, and they keep moving and they keep moving. And at some point, they step into their destiny. They move towards their destiny. They move towards their potential, not only as a basketball player but as a person. And that's my why, bro.
Definitely. That's dope, man. That's so dope to hear. So how did you we'll get back into this. How did you end up at Iowa State? You mentioned you were the graduate assistant there. You were in charge of the player development. That's a pretty big it's actually a big program now. They blew
Yeah.
up. So what was it like being over there?
Um, it was very different. It was the most challenging thing, most needed thing. Um, and it was good because like we all need intimidating challenges to develop us and make us better. Um, just the year that I was at Iowa State, it was, bro, we finished 10th and we weren't a bad team. Everybody else was just better. And it was so cool to compete at that level, to just go through that. I'm a better leader, I'm a better developer because, one night, because it was no days off. It's 10 teams in the Big 12. So you playing 18 conference games and there's no bye week. And you got to think about what that means. One day we're playing Kansas and Devontae Graham and Azubuike and Marcus Garrett. Then the next day we're playing Trey Young. Then the next day we're playing
Yeah.
Mo Bamba. Then the next day we're playing Javon Carter. It literally doesn't stop. And so like like people to play at that level, you have to live that and be a part of that to understand. Like you got to be so mentally tough because every game's on ESPN. We have a contract with ESPN. Every game's on national TV. So like you could go play bad and get embarrassed and get the brakes beat off of you. And then the next day you're playing Texas Tech and they're ranked ninth. You got to find a way to, you don't have a lot of turnaround time to figure out what you need to do to perform. If you start feeling sorry for yourself, or if you don't know how to like throw away
Over.
bad moments, then it's over. You're defeated for the game. Then it goes the other way. I remember we played Texas Tech. We smacked them. It's number 17 in the country by 18. That was on a Saturday. Then we played Texas at Texas on Big Monday. Like, so it's a Saturday day game. Our kids go out, you know what I'm saying? Probably had a little too much fun, start feeling themselves. Everybody telling them how great they are. We don't practice on Sunday. We kind of shoot around, walk through, get on, like we're able to fly private, fly to Austin. And then we're playing Texas, number 20 team in the country with Mo Bamba, top 3 pick. You know what I'm saying? We got smacked because we weren't ready to play. So it was cool from that standpoint. Specifically, what I did with player development, I loved it, bro. Because one of the things that I hate about being a trainer outside of being on a team is the lack of consistency. Think about this: like when I was a trainer, I sat in on all the staff meetings because I'm a part of the coaching staff. So I'm watching film with other coaches, and then I'm talking to that player every day. So like every player on our team, I had a player development plan, and it was like a running list, and it was based on like the shots that they get, their strengths, how the coach wants them to play in the offseason. So it was like it's the difference between getting a suit at Nordstrom's and going to get a tailor-made suit. So like for me as a trainer, it was never so efficient because everything, even the warm-up drills, you know what I'm saying? So it was really cool experience. I really enjoyed it. I really grew. It was really challenging in a lot of ways. I think on the court, one of the things that was most challenging, I worked mostly with guards. And like when we split up, like during practice, I had to work with the bigs. And at first I was mad. Then I had to take a step back, really understand what God is doing. Like, why would he send me over there with the guards? I got that. Chauncey didn't help me. Like, I've worked with Jimmer. I've trained Trey Young, Eric and Josh. Like, come over here with the bigs, step in here and like, I was good at developing bigs, but like to do that for a year, and I still develop guards. I develop guards a lot, but in practice, I had to develop bigs. But like I really grew in developing bigs and understanding how they play at a high level. So like it was a great experience. It wasn't the easiest experience by far. I think mentally and emotionally it was tough because I went from Denver, where I was well known, kind of popular in basketball circles, and like was making money, living a good life. You know what I'm saying? And then I go to Iowa, don't know anybody. I was just there, not making no money, which is fine because it's not about money. That'll take care of itself. But it was just, I just grew up. You know what I mean? I grew, I should say. I matured. You know what I'm saying? I was pushed so far out of my comfort zone professionally, but also mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Like I feel like it allowed me to transform into a much better version of myself. So it was dope.
Definitely. You mentioned before that you were starting to write your book during your time up there. So how did let's get into that. So how did that even come along? Have you ever thought about you're gonna have a published book before, or was this just something you're like, I gotta get my word out?
It was a little bit of everything. I mean, like timing is everything. You know, I had thoughts of doing something. Honestly, like I saw the success I had in mentoring you guys as athletes in Denver. And I was just like, I felt like what pushed me out of Denver, how I ended up at Iowa State, was one, my dad, Marcus Garrett, who's a senior at Kansas, Jace Townsend, who's Denver's best player. They played for my dad, and I used to help them when I come in town. Like, despite everything that happened with me with my dad, like as I get older, I understand how tough it was on him. And you know what I'm saying? It's family over everything. Like we're good. We're gonna be okay. We about to sit up here on the patio and watch basketball now. But I always wanted to coach for my dad too. And so his team was like ranked 20th in the country. And I'm a trainer, so I have time to take off. So I go help him coach. And I basically like did all the scouting and stuff like that. We went all the way to the state title or state final four, which is huge in Texas. I mean, it's incredibly challenging to get there at the highest level, at the 6A level. And so once I did that, I was like, man, I want to coach. I missed that team setting. So that's how I ended up at Iowa State being a graduate assistant. Well, when I got there, I just thought that like the connection I had with you guys in Colorado and the love that y'all gave me and the love that like I thought it was going to be like that. They ain't look at
Exactly.
me like that. They looked at me like, dog, you just a graduate assistant. And so like I couldn't help them the way that I help you. So I got frustrated and like I just started writing when I meditate things that I felt like they needed, whether it was encouragement, whether it was accountability. I literally just started writing and it was like my release. And it's crazy how the right people come in your life at the right time. I was also mentoring and training some of the girls on my free time, girls team, the women's team. And they were like little sisters to me. You know, our little sisters always in your business.
Right.
So like they would walk in my office and see me writing. They wouldn't even ask no questions. They just start reading it. And they was like, what is this? So I kind of told them and they were like, you know, why don't you write a book? And I was like, well, I kind of thought about it. And as soon as I said that, they just put my feet to the fire and held me accountable. It's like, this is good. This helps me. You need to write a book because if you don't, there's going to be people's lives that aren't going to be affected and you need to do it. And once they told me that, like, I was like, let's get it. And so, like, it was
Yeah.
crazy, man. Like, I don't know how I did it. Going to graduate school, coaching, doing all the things I told you. And then, like, I would get free moments and there was a coffee shop across the street and I would sneak over there and just write for 30 minutes here or 40 minutes there. And next thing you know, like I had a book. And like what I wanted to do with the book, it's just devotionals. Like college basketball, competitive basketball at any level is challenging. And like you need support, you need consistency, you need affirmation, you need a lot of that. And that's what it is. It's basically relatable basketball devotionals that you could read, right? That are going to help you. And if you're a basketball player, it's great because it speaks to you. It speaks to our culture. I wrote it specifically to like the hip hop culture basketball player. You know what I mean? Like I quote like I bring like hip hop lyrics and stuff like that into it. You know, and I had to tell my publisher, you know, like there were times when they tried to edit the slang out, and I was like, nah, I want to keep that, you know, because I wanted one. I was like, I want this to be a book for people that don't even normally read books, but I don't want some like the thing like when you talk about devotional content or even sometimes inspirational content, you know, for like that hip hop cultured athlete, they have to change, you know, how they communicate or how they intake stuff to be able to get something. Well,
Mhm.
instead of doing that, I wanted to write it where they like I'm gonna speak to you guys at the way you
Right.
guys understand. Y'all don't have to change, so you can fully digest this and understand. So yeah, it turned out to, you know, I had no idea. The scariest thing was like I didn't know if I was wasting my time. Like, am I tripping? Like, can I
Right.
really do this? Or am I just wasting my time? So I just had to put my head down and stay so focused that I didn't even have time to think about the doubt. But yeah, I'm blown away at the product. It's by far the hardest thing I've ever done, the most challenging. But I think it's most beneficial, and it's like for me, that's the thing I take the most pride in.
Definitely. That's so dope, man. I definitely want to dive into that myself. Uh, so how long did it take you to do that?
2 years, man. It well, the writing was actually writing was challenging, but it was like it just flowed out of me because like I had so much. I think that being like I had to write it while I was still a college coach
Right.
because I was writing on experiences I saw every day. You know, a lot of it were things that happened before, but a lot of it was like things in the moment. That's why I felt like it was important. Like this just happened. You know, I kind of process it. I let me go to the coffee shop and write down my thoughts. So the writing, I think I started writing the book in off and on in August, and then uh, like in March, that's when it became like a daily, like grinded out thing. And I think I finished in like September or October. But after that, I had to raise capital for the book because instead of giving it to a book company, I wanted to almost be like Nipsey. I wanted to own it. I wanted to have say. Like, say,
Right.
for example, like the cover, like it's gonna look the way I want it to. Like if you look at the cover, I got it right here. But like everything about it, like I wanted it to like I didn't want it to look corny. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Exactly.
know how y'all are. I know how like the hip hop culture hooper that's your age is, man. Like if it like just look corny, if it look forced, you're not messing with it. So
Exactly.
like it's to do that I had to raise money. And so like I spent about a year and a half just like doing whatever I could, putting all my money into it because I was a GA at Iowa State, so I wasn't making any money. That's like working for free. It's like somebody
Exactly.
saying, "We'll pay for your house. You working for free." So I didn't have any, any money like from there. So like, yeah, I just like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my contribution to, making a small but significant contribution, I should say, to changing the world. I got to get it. So, bro, like, I mean, there are times when I'm sleeping in my car because I'm going to Colorado to do a camp. I'm going to California to do a camp. And I was like, man, if I sleep in my car, I don't have to pay for a hotel, and that money can go to funding the book. And it
Yeah.
wasn't easy. There were times where like, yeah, I had doubt. There were times where I even cried, and but like it was so worth it. Like I'm able to experience, people telling me like it's helped me with my depression. Like it's helped me understand. It's helped me overcome this coach that cut me, or this coach that's treating me, or it helped me stay focused and not let success change me. So it's definitely serving its purpose. So
That's dope to hear. How many copies have you sold so far?
no idea. So man,
Like, do you have it
so the
like
way it
online or
works,
something?
yeah. So it's on Amazon. Like
Okay.
anybody that want to copy it, like man, go to Amazon.com. If you follow me on social media, Culture or Die, it's all on my links and stuff like that. But if you just go to Amazon.com and type in my name, Nick Graham book, or God X Basketball. God in Basketball is the book. It's like a collabo of God in Basketball. So God X Basketball. You can get it off of Amazon. You can get it off Barnes and Noble. But if it's no preference, I'm trying to run them Amazon numbers up. And so I know it's doing well because like the other day, like I just Googled on a computer that had no search, that I had never been on, so it wasn't like a search engine, no cookies. If you go to Amazon and you type in basketball books, like my book is like the third book, bro. It's like John
Oh,
Thompson,
that's dope.
who is a Hall of Fame coach, an
Yeah.
NBA book, my book. A few books down is Kobe's book. A few books down. So like I know it's doing
It's
well,
out there.
and that's
Oh
really
yeah.
exciting. But in terms of like I won't get any I won't start getting paid from it or knowing any numbers until the end of March.
Okay.
Like, and then after that, it'll be like a quarterly thing. It's kind of like how you get a job and you don't get the first paycheck.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that, but like with the quarters. So like the
Okay.
first quarter, second quarter, but like now when you get in the third quarter of your book, now you'll start happening quarterly, and I'll be able to look at those numbers
Oh yeah.
quarterly. So I have no idea until then, man.
That's super
after
dope.
nervous.
That's super dope. So do you have like any other plans with your book? Are you gonna write a second one? Are you gonna like start a podcast? Do you have any plans like with any other future plans with that?
Yeah, to me, the book was just the foundation. Like to me, the book is saying like I'm serious. You know what I'm saying? Because like I tell people, one of the things I love about being a mentor to younger people like yourself, it forces me not either be a hypocrite, or I've got to like take heed to that advice, which allows me to organically be better. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And I always say like people of character don't say much. You know what I'm saying? Like like Meek said, gangsters move in silence, so I don't talk a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just because like he doesn't talk in doesn't mean he's not saying anything. He's saying a lot. He's just not saying it with his words. And what I'm saying is like people of character, they speak with their actions. They
Exactly.
very seldomly talk, but their actions tell you everything you need to know. You know what I'm saying? I talk about Trey Young all the time. When I trained Trey Young, he graduated on a Friday. He came and worked out with me on a Sunday. He got off the plane and like it wasn't, it was all love. What's up, big bro? Blah, blah, blah. Like basically, what are we doing? Like, man, I'm trying to get to the league after my sophomore year. I really want to get there after my freshman year, but by my sophomore year, I'm gone. That's all he said. But what he did for those next 5 days after showed me all I needed to know. Like that said more than anything that he could say with his words. When we were working out 3 times a day, I went to take him to the Vero to box, and I thought he was gonna like we was gonna have to call a stretcher in there. And I was like, bro, we can stop. And like I don't see how he was able to do it. And he just like, nah, I gotta get it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, the book was that. A lot of we didn't all met people say, man, I'm about to
Mhm.
write a book or I'm about to do a podcast. Yeah, it sounds good. And I remember how people looked at me because they thought I was just the talker. And it
Exactly.
felt good when they saw the book and they was like, oh, you got a book.
Yeah.
So to me, the book was the foundation to do the things that I feel like I want to do, which is I want to continue on my path and figure out a way to monetize it because I feel like I deserve to get paid for the effort and live good like everybody else. Holistic, holistic development. Again, that mentality of the carrot, basketball being the carrot, developing, of course, on the court at a high level, but also developing your leadership, developing your character, developing your ability to communicate, which is important and underdeveloped, and also develop and support you mentally. Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of athletes that are developed that are struggling with their mental health, and they don't know how to seek help and they don't know where to go. Like I've been dealing with one, a guy that I work out with. I turn on the TV, he's playing at a high level, at a high level major college basketball, and I was like, man, that dude's not happy. I call him, like, bro, like you look like you don't have any confidence, but most importantly, you don't look like you're happy. What do we need to do to get you happy? We start talking every day, and the focus was never about basketball at the beginning. It was just about getting back to being happy. Step one. And then we started talking about basketball. Now he's playing better than he didn't he's playing at a level he never knew he had. And so like I just have to keep going. So yeah, I do think a podcast is possibly in the future. So I'm gonna be taking notes from you. You know what I'm saying? Seeing what you do and just kind of like following your blueprint. But yeah, a podcast, just a bunch of stuff like that. I think that like I do think that I'm gonna write. I think that I can write multiple books. I think that there could be like a follow up to this, just more devotionals. And then I want to really talk. I really want to think about in the same space, writing kind of like maybe like leadership self, like you think about self-help books, but same thing, writing it to my audience in a way that they can understand. So
Exactly.
like I definitely think it's going to be some more of that on the horizon. So like I tell y'all, man, I have to keep going. The thing that I tell myself is just I have to, every day that God gives me health and energy and talent, man, that's his way of saying, man, like I got work for you to do. Apply pressure. So I got to keep applying pressure.
Hell yeah. I love it, man. That's so dope to hear. And just hearing you want to do a podcast is dope because just like I really enjoy doing this. So like then to see like the type of things you can put out into the world will be something that a lot of people will love, honestly. So I think you should really do that. But I got a few more questions for you before I let you go. One of them right
Yeah,
now
go
is
ahead, man. I'm just chilling.
One of them is who is like the top player right now that you are training? Like it,
Mhm.
like you is it high school,
Yeah.
college, pro?
Um, yeah, nah. The one I'm training, I'm excited about is Colin Smith. He's going into his senior year. Uh, he's like right now, he's like a top 50 player in the country. But I think he has a talent to be like a top 10 player. Um, he's a hard worker. He loves the game. I love his approach. He hates social media. He's not about himself. He just kind of puts his head down and does his work. And my challenge is I think that there's more gears there in terms of just helping him with his mentality. You know, when you hear people say he's a dog, just that, you know what I'm saying? Like that, just that I think he needs to just kind of get a little bit more angry or just develop an edge. So, man, we just talked because one of his high school teammates is Harrison Ingram, who I've worked with before too. Harrison Ingram is a McDonald's All American who's going to Stanford, who's like 6 in his class. And on the day that they announced McDonald's All American, I was just like, we had a like big boy talk about like what needs to change to get him to that place. And if he wants to subscribe to that process. And it's cool, man. I think we're actually going to create our own like little mini mentary docu series, whatever you want to call it. And we're
That's
going to
dope.
start shooting Tuesday, like kind of like unfiltered, real, just get us
Behind the
training, get us
scenes.
interacting. Yeah. And like just see, you know, what becomes of it. But yeah, he's about 6'7", 6'8", man. Like can handle, can shoot, got bounce.
Ooh,
Um, he just gotta continue to come. He has no idea how good he can be. But yeah, and he's a good kid, man. He's a really good kid. So
that's dope to hear. Also, this is for me. Um, are you gonna, or do you ever plan on like coming back to Denver and training over here, or what is your plans with coming back to Co?
yeah, man, like that's like my adult home. You know what I'm saying? And like I'll be honest, bro. Like I don't think that I'll truly be content and truly as happy as I can be until I'm back there on a frequent basis. I don't like not feeling like an outsider. Um, so like that's my plan. Uh, there's a lot that goes into that. One, COVID. Two, man, and I write about this in my book. Um, if you're always on top, you'll never know who's really rocking with you. You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying? Like in Colorado, like when I was in Denver, like I did more free workouts than I did paid workouts. And I wouldn't change that for the world. And but my point being is like I found out, and everybody finds this out, you know, a lot of people that rock with you because you're doing something for them. When I
Exactly.
went to Iowa State, I ain't had no free workouts to give nobody. Like, oh, now all of a sudden, people that like used to hit my line all the time, they not. You know, I remember like I'm I'm sending out the link to my book because the way it works when you release a book, like you want to get in the Amazon algorithm, and the way you get there is pre-sale. So everybody you know, it's their opportunity to give you that energy that you've given them and get support. And I'm
Exactly.
looking at people that like, you know, I've given like thousands of dollars worth of free workouts, and you can't buy my book for $25. And so I say that to say like, you know, like, and if you got any plugs or whatever, anybody listening, you know, I want to get there because I felt like my work speaks for itself on and off the court and my ability to help young people in Colorado. And I'm a better trainer. Like I told you about the experience in Iowa
Exactly.
State, I'm so much better of a trainer now than I was then. And then even living in Dallas, like it's crazy here. This is different, bro. Like it is different. Just being a part of this culture the way I am now and working with the players and their mentality, it is so different. And my heart's desire is to get back to Colorado. What I really want to do is like be headquartered in Dallas and then have 2 or 3 hubs where I frequently go to, Denver being one of them, where I'm getting to Denver once a month for a few days, sometimes twice a month. You know what I'm saying? And so like I just have to be able to find a gym to be able to do that. But I think that like now that my book's out, I think that kind of reestablishes me. You know, it kind of like unfortunately, like we live in a space, we live in a world where it's all about clout. It's all about, you know, if
Exactly.
you popping or not. So like I think I'm moving back into that space where on the outside people think I'm popping. So hopefully I can get back there because I feel like I've helped too many kids. And if I'm honest with myself, you know what I'm saying? There I still feel like there's a need for what I've done in Colorado. So I hope so.
Definitely. That's dope, man. I hope you get back here myself. But another one, who's your top five in the NBA right now?
Top five in the NBA. KD, Bron, James Harden.
Yes.
Uh, uh, I said Harden.
Two
Dame,
more. Dame, okay.
and I feel like I'm missing somebody. Who's out there? The Greek freaks out there? No. I want to say without giving it too much thought. I want to say Steph, but I feel like I might be missing somebody.
I would
So
say
I
Steph.
I I was just gonna say I'll say Steph. I think JoJo is playing well. He's
Oh
killing.
yeah.
But like one, I'm a guard. I've always been like I'm a guard, so like I'm gonna be biased to the guards. But yeah, I think that would be kind of my top five. Like most impressed with I'm most impressed but not surprised with James Harden. Like I
Oh
remember
yeah.
when James Harden played with the Thunder and he played with KD and Russ. Like he was doing the same stuff. You know, James Harden is smart. James Harden knows how to play. James Harden makes the game easier. I think that James Harden just plays differently when he plays with really good players versus when he plays with average Joes from an NBA standpoint. But him
Exactly.
playing with those guys, like, and he's so good that he can just be like, I'm gonna be a facilitator. Then I'm gonna take this 6 minute stretch where I'm just gonna hibachi everybody, and then you're gonna
Exactly.
look up and I got 28 points and you ain't even know it.
That
Yeah.
shit's
What about
crazy.
you?
My top five will be James
Who's
for
your top five?
sure. James, I'm gonna go James, Braun, KD, Kyrie, and Dame. I just
Dang, that was
Dame and
dang, that was different though.
Kyrie, they're just the way they create space and how much time they could just stay in the air and just adjust their shots. That shit's just like, what the hell? So that would be my top
Yeah.
five.
Yeah.
And then what about your artists right now? Top five artists. Who you bumping?
Uh, I'm gonna say Drake just because I've been on that like for the last 24 hours on
That's
repeat.
Drake is hot.
Uh, Drake, I'm old man. I just turned 40, so like you know, like I'm not even like bro. Like so, like when I wrote the book, it was like I had to like put everything, like even basketball. Like I wasn't watching basketball as much. I wasn't training as much. I wasn't listening to music. I was so locked in. So like I'm just like looking up, just like it's almost like somebody that serve a bid and they come out with yesterday's fashion on, listening to old playlists. That's how I feel. But with
Crazy.
that said, Drake, J. Cole,
Uh-huh.
uh Brent Fayez.
Yeah, he's nice, yo. I'm barely
I'm an
catching on.
he's dumb nice. He's dumb nice. Trey O'Neal put me on. But so who is that? Three. Who else? Who else? I'm an R&B head too, so don't judge me on that. Who am I missing? Uh, I like, I like, I like SZA.
Okay, she's fire. I
Yeah,
fuck with her.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm hella R&B. Who am I missing? Who am I missing? It's one more R&B that's on the tip of my tongue. Uh, I would say Bryson Tiller, but his new album's whack. Oh,
You
I
like
don't know, man.
Jaquise?
I don't know. I do like Jackie's. I like Jackie's a lot. I had to send you my playlist. I got
Yeah,
a
definitely.
like Wale. Why am I tripping?
Wale,
Wale.
yo, I
Wale. What am I
love
doing?
Wale. That's
Like Wale
crazy.
is my guy. Yeah,
That's
so
dope.
yeah. Me being older, it's more like Wale, J. Cole, Rick Ross. Um, I be like, you got to send me playlists so I cannot be that old guy. I don't like feeling like I don't know what song is on. You know what I'm saying? That's
No,
what
yeah,
happens when you get old, bro.
definitely.
So you got to rely on your young cats to send you playlists. What's popping? I don't want to walk in
Hey,
there. I like Roddy Rich too.
yeah, you got Apple Music?
Roddy Rich a lot. I like Rod. I like Rod Way. Yeah, that's what I mess with.
All right, yeah, I'll send you a playlist after this.
Yeah.
But last
I
question,
bet.
man, of the day. Who would you like to see on the podcast? Keep in mind, whoever you choose, you got to have a plug for me so I could get them on here so we could just get things rocking. So who would you like to see?
Dominic Collier.
Dom? All right. Actually, I could
Dom
do that.
Collier.
I know Dom. We both
Dom
I work out with him a few times and both East alums. So
Dom
Dom,
got a
let's do it.
Dom is Dom is my little bro. Dom is like for real. That ain't I don't say that lightly. Dom is like my guy. But Dom loves basketball, but Dom has a story to tell. Like people need to hear his story. You know, you think about Gatorade Player of the Year, and then he goes to Colorado. He goes to Colorado, and his senior year, he becomes a six man. Like people need to hear that story. They need to hear like it's not sweet as they think it is. Like your
Right.
favorite, like most people, like when you in high school or when you younger, like your favorite player in the community that you look up to, like they gonna go to college and struggle. Like they
Exactly.
need to hear his story. We talk about that all the time.
Bet. Dom, you're next, my boy. But that wraps everything up.
Yep.
Nick, thank you for coming on here, man. It means the world. Thank you for all the knowledge you're giving us, not only to me, but just everybody. You, like you said, the consistency, to see you write a book and then just from going from just getting trained to you when I was literally 10 years old and just growing up and seeing you still just dedicated to it is just like it's dope to see. So I'm super happy for you and congrats on your book. And I just wish the best for you and everything going in the future, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Let me say this too before I leave, man. Like, keep doing what you do. Keep doing what you do. Like, it's such a need for young black men to uh, just be an example. Like I said, not with your words, not with what you tweet about, but what you live in. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And sometimes we don't. Just like you just said, like you looked up to me since you was 10. I didn't know that. Like dog, you're making more of an impact than you know. And
Right.
these young black kids need to see young black kings like you in your 20s being serious. They need to see your growth. They need to see your journey. They need to see where you started and all that. So like I want you to keep going and keep going with your chest poked out to knowing that you're a difference maker and a life changer, man. And then oh yeah, I'm terrible at this. Everybody tell me that when I go on, I forget to plug. But make sure you go buy the book. I got to run those numbers up,
Yes.
right? At Amazon. Go get it off of Amazon. And then follow me, Culture Down, Twitter, on IG, all that stuff. And I'm a hope dealer. I'm not a dope dealer. I'm a hope dealer. My life is about dealing hope. So if you ever need some hope, you need me to deal you some hope, yeah, hit me up, get in my DMs or whatever, man. I'm here for you, for real.
Definitely. I'll definitely drop the links down for the book and everything. So, like I said, everybody, thank you for watching. Nick, thank you for being here. Remember to stay woke.